Let's go first to Georgia, where within the last few hours, some new accusations by both sides in the race for governor. Democrat Stacey Abrams and Republican Brian Kemp, they are locked in a statistical dead heat, each at 47%. But this morning, Kemp, the Secretary of State, is charging Georgia Democrats with attempted voter hack, to which Abrams fired back. Beth Fu, we got to get right to you on this one. Can you help us clear this up?
Yeah, it's been quite a morning here, Alex, hasn't it? I'm standing in front of the Columbia Drive United Methodist Church, where Stacey Abrams is inside worshiping. It's her home congregation. We caught her coming in a little while ago. She actually showed up at church a little bit on the late side, probably not surprising, because she was dealing with this surprise announcement from the Secretary of State's office. Keep in mind, the Secretary of State is her opponent, Brian Kemp, and his office announced this morning that they are doing a probe of the state Democratic Party, alleging, with no evidence that we can see, that they may have hacked into the state's voter registration system. As you can imagine, that was not something that anybody was expecting. We reached out to the Democratic Party of Georgia for a response to this allegation, and they wrote us back saying this. This is from Rebecca DeHart. She's the executive director. Brian Kemp's scurrilous claims are 100% false, and this so-called investigation was unknown to the Democratic Party of Georgia. Now, Kemp has already come into the crosshairs in some quarters because of what people say is his abuse of his office, purging certain minority voters off the rolls for certain discrepancies in their how they sign their names, basically, on their registration. So that's already been an issue of how he can actually monitor the election and actually be a candidate as well. And this latest allegation about what the Democratic Party might be doing was met with quite a bit of surprise and consternation from Stacey Abrams herself this morning. Let's take a listen.
I've heard nothing about it, and my reaction would be that this is a desperate attempt on the part of my opponent to distract people from the fact that two different federal judges found him derelict in his duties and have forced him to allow absentee ballots to be counted and those who are being held captive by the exact match system to be allowed to vote. He is desperate to turn the conversation away from his failures, from his refusal to honor his commitments, and from the fact that he is part of a nationwide system of voter suppression that will not work in this election, because we are going to outwork him, we're going to outvote him, and we are going to win.
Now, as you know, President Trump is actually coming here to Georgia today to campaign with Brian Kemp. He's going to be with him in Macon, Georgia. We're in Atlanta now. Macon's about an hour and a half away. That's going to get underway at 4 o'clock this afternoon, one of those big MAGA rallies that President Trump has been doing on behalf of Republicans over the last several days. We'll see if anything gets cleared up at that rally, Alex, about what on earth Brian Kemp is saying and doing 2 days before the election.
Yeah, but I just want to say, in terms of statements that I've gotten as well, they are confirming that no personal data was breached and that the system remains secure, regardless of what they may possibly be investigating here as a possible cybercrime.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.